Today, you can learn a lot from the unsaid or even the unheard. Much more coming right up. Doing well as you. But the truth subscribers. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. And of course, we thank you guys so much for taking care with that unlike, subscribe button, as well as your throwing caution to the wind when available to share out the stream. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. Hope you guys are doing well on your Wednesday. A lot to talk about. I'm going to try to keep things in a reasonable lot, reasonable time, but there's so many things to get into. And I'll just begin with my opening statement. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this Wednesday. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for checking in. So I just want to begin really quickly here with the opening statement. Now, the opening statement is going to start with, of course, all the things that are going on. Of course, we have had the DNC for the last, 48 hours, 72 hours. But the opening statement will go something like, the DNC, I'm not going to rush through this, but I just want to let you know that's where this is coming from. So the opening statement is going to be about the DNC, and it might even give you some insight on the actual photo for this particular stream. Okay, so the DNC, apparently, they were not short on auxiliaries and agents of change. Shout out to Expedition Greg. Thank you so much for coming in. They lean on their degenerate foot soldiers, i.e., Hollywood, and even for their finale, they seem to lean on another agent of change, which I believe he has been featured on the steps of Sesame Street. It was a Billy Porter and Stephen Steele vocal cover on Buffalo Springfield's For What It's Worth. Now, they closed out the first evening with that cover on that tune. And I will be happy to share that. I'm going to share that video with you later, but it will also I'll use that video I'll do them the honor of closing out this stream with that performance, if you will. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So just a few notes here. Also today, we are going to, of course, we'll talk a little bit about the DNC and the players, and you got these auxiliaries, and you've got these former dignitaries, if you will, or administrative representatives that have thrown their hats or tipped their hats to the DNC and to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, however you want to, whatever, not the right accent. I'm not into it. So take it as you will. But we have a few stories beyond the DNC, but there's just so much propaganda and so much gaslighting and so many and lies, just blatant noble liars. I give that term. I don't know if you guys watch Derek Gradenigo, but noble liars. I think that is the most apropos, the most befitting thing, the most befitting term. Noble liars. I've heard of noble thieves, but but a noble liar. And people are drawn in by noble liars. They have no lot and no perspective other than what they have been fed the last 3 and 4 years. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. When it comes to politics and what we are witnessing right now, you cannot come in on 1 or 2 episodes. It's tough. I'll be the first one to say, when you have to dive this deep for truth, you cannot come in on 1 or 2 or even 3 or even 4 episodes if you've missed the whole season. Because I'm going to tell you, even for myself, I had to start a long time. I had to start before 2016 to gain some discernment with all the things that are going on and with all that I've learned. You cannot come in to this nasty thing called politics. You can't come into this nasty thing called propaganda. You can't come in on a couple of seasons and think you're going to have the nuance or you're going to be able to see or pick up. You can't. But people believe what the Democrats have this hocus pocus on over many communities. And I'm not insulting anyone. I'm really not trying to insult anyone's intelligence or their intellect, but I do believe in self-education, and not knowing is no excuse for making a bad decision. Still, but and with my opening statement, I mentioned that, shout out to everybody in this room, shout out to JT Waterman, the rapper 10,000. They rely on, this is a culmination where people's minds are. And I'm going to be honest, this particular stream might come off on the whole, it might feel, or it might seem, it might appeal more like a rant, but I would think I'm giving you as much as I can with what I can support. And what I'm telling you, what I'm giving you is what I can comfortably support. Not into clickbait and all that bit. I'm just not. And I will parrot Michelle Obama. I happen to be a Black woman, but I am an American. I believe in my Americanism. I would put that above being Black. I'm not a worshiper of my skin color or the government. I'm not. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Nice to see you, Expedition Greg. Let's see. Yes, and so yeah, and I'm going to get to your comments, guys, because I'm saying this is, there's a lot that I'm going to talk about some specific people in this particular stream, and I'm going to talk about some norms. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm also going to talk about the children. I've said this before. Do I want to bring this in right now? I'm not quite scripted on this. I want to talk about change. We hear the term transformation, transform America, da 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 da. We hear this all the time. JT Waterman says, "You are Black. I only see you married." I am. That's, what can I say? What did the rappers say? And I'm gonna insert a little bit more of candor self candor, if you will, these days, because I think it's necessary. But when I think about, you get all of these but for Americans in front of the names. You got to be African American, you got to be Asian American, Hispanic Americans, Latino American, Native Americans. Why can't we just be? People talk about humanity and equities. Well, you have to. It starts in the mind. But if you're always planting seeds, it's all about seeds and sowing. But you're planting a seed that sows, but I'm this. So this identity has to go before. And not only is it in front of that American identity, it's, it's in the mind. People they don't really separate. They can't discern. But you are both. You actually are both. Neither of those things can be taken away from you, but you are an individual. You are an individual. And that's why I said I don't subscribe to the name African American, because for one, I cannot prove to you, I cannot tell you if I'm West African, if I'm Ethiopian, if I'm Cameroonian. You might ding me on that. I cannot prove to you if I am Congolese. I can't prove these things to you. So I'd rather not bespeak something that I cannot prove. I was born here. My parents were born here. Their parents were born here. Their parents were born here. So I think that's enough generational roots for my identity as an American. I do. Shout out to everybody in the stream. But the thing about it is, even with that many generations in a society, there are relationships that happen there were relationships that happened in those generations, and that's not unique. I mean, you do have some Black people that look Black, but they actually have some Native American heritage too. Whether you've got Southern roots or whatever it is, there's nothing monolithic about being Black or any of these backgrounds. You just can't. And I'm not chasing. I'm not having an identity crisis, people. I'm not. I'm not having an identity crisis. And I also don't need anybody from any party to tell me how that works or how I should feel about how that works or it might work. Sometimes I wish the way people throw the word racism around, I wish somebody would arrest that damn racism. Please arrest him and put him away. He's hurting a lot of people. Put the cuffs on him. No due process. Hang him on the lawn. Whatever you got to do. Because this racism is ravaging. It's ruining lives. It really is. It has ruined so many lives. And it's only because, what is it? What do we do? We have every 4 years, we have a little mini race war. Is that what we do? Is that ever going to end? I'm just saying, that's part of the rant, I'll give you that. I'll give you some rant. But, I just, I don't Let me keep going here because I'll get into some more of the rant. But and even let's stay in the rant just for a little bit longer, if you don't mind, if you'll humor me and just stay in the rant for a little bit. And I say everybody wants to talk about politics all of a sudden. You go to the grocery store and you're getting to the end of your groceries, and we're talking about this heat wave or potential blackouts, and then eventually somebody starts, well, I saw Michelle Obama the other night. Yeah, I think, oh, well, there's a sensible person. And I'm like, you know what? We really don't need to do this right now. Can you just bag my groceries? That's all. You could even charge me for another bag. But I really don't, I'm not interested in what your definition of what sensibility is and what's not. He happened to be, he wasn't black. He was a different background. But I just, but you gotta, but I just, I say this is happening because we've been conditioned to, for people to euphemize things and make what, and when it comes to abortion, the left, these progressives, they make that more, they euphemize that and try to make that respectable. What is it, Kamala Harris, when you see her talk about reproductive rights, reproductive rights end up in reproductive injustice for somebody, right? Because there's two people involved. No matter what they say, there's two people involved in these rights and this justice that she talks about. If it's justice, then why does anybody suffer from injustice, Kamala? Why does anybody have to die? You're delivering justice, right? You're delivering whose rights? Whose rights? Whose rights are you protecting in that? But and I don't know, I'm not the originator of this, but somebody once said, evil always has to ask permission. I actually find that to be, remarkably accurate. Well, if it's the right thing, why do you need permission to do it? Why do you need my blessing? If it's the right thing, if it's the Michelle Obama talked about morality. If it's the right thing, then why are you asking for it? Why doesn't it just come about naturally? Why does it have to be induced? Why does the government have to intervene? Why? Why do you need my blessing? Why do you need the whole world's blessing? Why do you need the nation's blessings when we are all individually threaded? I'm just saying, just saying, just an observation there. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm still in the opening statement here. I don't mean to make this whole thing. Maybe I should just call the whole thing. This is opening statement. Just we'll stay open. How about that? And that's when it turns into a rant. Shout out to you guys. And see, okay, here I'm going back in just based on what I saw from the rapper 10,000. Let me talk about this just for a second for those of you out there that have children. In these times, if you're not paying attention, a lot of things will get by you. And it's, we are absolutely dominated by this culture industry and this entertainment industry. I'm just saying, if you some of these programs and some of the propaganda and some of the things that you see, they are slowly inserting those things into the culture. For instance, if you just watch any program or if you watch any of the commercials, I saw a credit union commercial. And I don't know, maybe I'll say something to my credit union about it, but I don't know. But the credit union, it's all, I tell you, everything, it's all about the revolution, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about one. It's not about inequities. It's not about Black people and prosperity and self sustainability. It's not about education. It's not about this person, the men making more than the women. It's not about that. I saw a commercial from a credit union, and there's symbolism even in the credit union. And there was this, and I've heard this before, but I'm starting to submit to it. I'm seeing signs of it. They say children are the agents of change, right? All right. So why do you have a child? Children used to, the rainbow. The rainbow has had a symbol, has been symbolic for in many ways. But now that symbol to me has been manipulated and it's darkened what it symbolizes. So you have a kid in the credit union commercial with this huge rainbow going across her t-shirt. And I'm just thinking, what does that have to do with the credit union? Okay, it's not only that, but the credit union has a huge rainbow in its logo. People have said this before about them coming after people's children. The hypersexuality that's being inserted into these commercials, into your kids' curriculums in these schools. I don't subscribe to regular TV. I don't, cable companies and all of this bit. I typically just do whatever, I just stream or whatever. But I'm telling you, you cannot get away from this campaign. You cannot. And if they sign HR 5, if HR 5 gets to Joe Biden's desk, Kamala Harris's desk, you might say I'm gaslighting. I'm just saying, look it up for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. This is not under a rock. It's not under a brick. You can find it. You can find it. This work that I see that they're doing to sexualize these kids, what they're inserting into the kindergarten curriculum about sexuality. And that's why I say to those who have children, they're using this pandemic this pandemic has brought about many things, but you would think it would open up some people's eyes. You better believe whatever's and I'm not saying whatever's on the other side of this is not going to be what it used to be. Just saying, just saying. So that's just, like I said, I'm still in the opening statement. Can you believe it? It's what happens when I go into a rant. It just goes and goes and goes. Yes, the rapper, they're playing everything down. They're ignoring. I think the people of Hollywood have descended on some of these institutions and they're protesting, but that's not getting any coverage, Shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for taking care with, and I apologize once again for the delays. I don't like to be late. But thank you guys so much for hanging in there. Shout out to Crazy Chick Sheena, the rapper 10,000, JT Waterman, Chrysler Imperial H. Shout out to, I think I got everybody in here just for now. Okay, thank you guys so much for everything. There's a couple links in the stream already. So thank you guys so much. Shout out to David Furman. Thank you so much for coming in. But yes, so I'm just saying, returning to school, there's a lot to consider there. Whether you no matter what you choose, you have choices. That's the thing about it. We all have choices. We really have choices. So I'm going to keep going here. So I just want to do a few notes, and of course, I'll keep certain things are just not going to go away. And I will say, as a non-parent, I am concerned for those people that are parents. I am concerned. And that's just, to me, I just think that's just natural. It is what it is. And so I'll continue here. So from that perspective, I will keep going here with this was part of my opening statement, but I'll keep going here. So we've talked about this whole situation. We'll get into, I want to get into a bit of a story out of Florida, and I may even have some testimony for you on some of these homeschools requiring masks for the Zoom classrooms. I'd like to follow that up a little bit. Some of them, and uniforms. Not only, I think some of them are I know they're requiring uniforms, but the mask is the part that's a little bit unclear to me. And so we'll keep going. So there was certainly a bit of a lack of, I'm just talking about formats and just talking about the overall packaging of the DNC just a minute before I get back into these characters, if you will. There was a lack of cohesion to me in terms of, the coverage. It was just all over the place. I just think, can anybody actually follow them? And yet, Bill Clinton claims the party is united. You guys see unity? Unity. And of course, Biden is their man, the subordinate to Obama. Everything that they mentioned about Biden was, oh, well, you had a frame, and then another frame came with, oh, well, when he was vice president to Obama, da 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 da. Well, but he did a lot of things for him. He did a lot of nefarious things to support himself. But what did he actually do that would propel him forward? And not to mention all of I just don't get how Biden and the whole Ukraine deal, I just don't get how these are unanswered shots. I don't get it. I don't get it. And then not to mention, there was a situation with Tara Reid. What was the conclusion on that? And all of a sudden, you've got all these character witnesses. Really? I mean, for the average person, if you get, just for God forbid, for a teacher that's accused of anything, whether, dealing with a student, that person gets fired and jail time, right? And a mark on their record or on their ID, right? But nothing happens. Nothing happens to them. And see, that's where it comes down to. Now, you want to talk about equity or iniquities. Their voices don't, because they have money or they're in those positions, does that mean that their voices or that their votes count more than ours? Is that what that means? And that's where to me, I think there's a bit of lies, too many lies going on. There's too many lies. And I will agree with Michelle Obama in instances. There's been some lies going on. There's been a lot. But I tell you, they didn't start with Donald Trump. If you want to charge anybody with lies, you are being disingenuous with all your sighing inflection. And they all picked up that They all, what was it, Pete Buttigieg and AOC even utilized that in her little whatever. They just all they're just so noble and so sincere and just so masters of the rhetoric. They're just masters of what they do. Masters of manipulation. So I'm going to keep going, believe it or not. All right. So yeah, this is full on, but what's the plan? Build back America. See, when people throw out that word iniquities, I have friends, and they happen to be liberals. And some of them claim to be libertarians. Okay, whatever. But they will say, oh, this certainly has brought out the iniquities. I'm like, well, you certainly are parroting those talking points. What does that actually mean? What are you advocating for? What do you stand for? What are your values? Now I've heard you say what they said. Now let me hear what you have to say. If you got any original thoughts on what the hell's going on around here, or are you just going to keep saying what somebody else said because it makes you look informed? I'm not even gonna say low information voter. You got to have the autonomy's low, the self-esteem is low, the self-worth is low. It's low. Low. It's all low. So I'm gonna keep going here, guys. Shout out to you guys for coming into the stream. Shout out to Touchdown Sean. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. All right. So, okay, I'm going to show you that video, the cover that Billy Porter ended with. Okay. Because here again, and I'm driving at some point here. I've probably been at the point of arrival on a few places, but I'm going to keep driving because there's a lot more places I'm trying to go. Yeah, Billy Porter appeared somehow on Sesame Street, or he had but see, there again, there's that injection of a man in a dress via Sesame Street. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been injection of sexuality into childhood, into the innocence, into the subconscious of children. That just didn't start either. You can go, I have found some revealing things in Walt Disney that most people you would never see it. You would never see it unless it was pointed out to you. You would never see it. So Disney. Okay, but now you're going to Sesame Street. So I am beginning to think this is some kind of, somebody has an insatiable hunger for harming kids. Somebody does. Leave the alphabet. Leave the kids' alphabet associations out of the LGBTQ movement. Leave it out. I'm going to keep going here as I keep going back to the kids. Because the UN, they themselves, is it children are the agents of change. You guys remember Greta Thunberg? Shout out to everybody in the stream. Well, shout out to the rapper 10,000. So the thing is that there's symbolism in the Disney. There's symbolism in everything on that. When I go, I'm not going to do a dissertation on Disney right now because I could, but I'm not. That's not what this show is. Not this stream. But there's plenty of symbols there. There's plenty. But you don't. But until somebody points it out. You won't. All right. So I'm going to keep going here. All right. So I mean, so back to this whole thing on socialism. Okay. So the Democrats are known for alphabet programs. They always give you this romanticized, FDR, how he saved, you know, post, Great Depression, da 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 da. But it was with court packings and alphabet soup programs, and some of those programs are still, of course, those programs are still around today. Being progressive and all these people, progressives, and their progressivisms. But they also, not only with all the alphabet programs that he employed, that he used, and his programs, they had high unemployment rates, as well as flat economies. Flat. 2008. And during 2008, the bubble burst then, those economies were flat. You had bailouts, but you had flat. But how long did it take? How long did it take? They issued some $300 crumbs as a stimulus. I want to say that was 2000. That was around 2010. Yes, but it was flat. Still flat. So what I bring you on to today, it looks like they had believe it or not, with all the chaos and all the lack of cohesion, the only thing I could see was, the fake revolution, the fake civil rights movement that they're trying to string for the they're trying to use all of this to turn the page, if you will. It's definitely the ending of something. We're on the end of something. How much of an end, that remains to be seen. So, like, but then it also makes me concerned. It makes me question, historically, even more. It says, okay, with a fake, if they can create a fake revolution right now, or a pseudo revolution or movement right now, what did they do in the 60s? How much of that was based on legitimate and 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 viable grievances? How much of that how much did they actually accomplish? Who was driving the bus on all of that? I'm not convinced. I'm not. But then when you think about fake revolutions, fake civil rights movements, or fake movements, you get the cries right now of peaceful protesters: defund the police, seedy martyrs, deceptive justice or injustices. But what about legitimate grievances? If people with legitimate grievances, what happens to those people? What happens to those grievances? How much revision history exists from the civil rights movement in the 1960s? How much progressive euphemism destroyed the Black community, the American family? Will anyone remember all of these waves beyond the election in 2020? Who? Because I'm going to tell you something. With all the things that are going on, with so many things, you get hit with a big wave, and it comes another wave. And pretty soon you just start the waves start to feel less like, I don't know, it's something, some kid got shot. I don't know what we're dealing with, human trafficking. I don't know. You mean, how, what happens there? You're so desensitized. Will you remember this? Some of I'm still in the opening statement. Who does a 40-minute opening statement? But I hope you guys are doing well, and that you have a strong stomach for my rant / opening statement. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys lending me your ear for that. But I'm just saying, if history can be revised or can be manipulated while it's happening, Who knows what it's going to look like? Who knows what it's going to look like beyond 2020? And see, that brings up that whole what's the 1619 project, the whole project on slavery. Who knew that the originators of slavery would weaponize slavery against the enslaved, and that enslaved group of people would keep those people, would feed them, would keep them alive, would keep their existence, keep them strong, keep them in power. It's something for everybody, right? It's the very thing that you push against is the thing that's keeping you alive, or keeps it propels you. I mean, that's in aviation. It's in physics. But to me, that's the left and the progressives, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they do. The very people that they claim that they're helping, they destroy them. And they do just enough to keep them coming back for more. Something for everybody, right? So you go out, you start recruiting a few more groups, manufacture a few more government rights. And the more rights you give, the more destruction, the more undoing. And 20 years from now, you'll have some leftist progressives up there. They'll be up there apologizing for what they were able to achieve right now. But they'll still have something to hold those people, to hold that same group of people on. I'm just saying, it's just my assertion, in my opening statement. But then I keep coming back to it. What about legitimate grievances? What about that? Shout out to everybody in the stream. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to read a few comments here. Shout out to everybody. I'm going to work my way backwards a little bit. Shout out to the rapper. He says, let me get into one that's not addressed. That's okay. So this is coming from the rapper here. He says, it got worse with the gays programs. They are forcing it into modern kids shows. Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Arthur, and more. See, some of these programs, I don't even know them. I'm a kid from back a few a few moons. So I don't recognize many of these shows. I do. What I will tell you, I remember Nickelodeon. I remember, what is it? Something like just some of the cultural things back then. What was it, like Mr. Wizard? I remember Mark Summers of Double Dare. I remember PBS, Dragon Tales. I remember LeVar Burt, Reading Rainbow. So don't laugh. It's real. Yeah, but you can laugh. After school specials. Now these kids don't have to wait till after school right now. It's just pumped out. Where in the world's Carmen Sandiego? There you go, crazy chick Sheena. What was it? DuckTales. Woo. DuckTales. Garfield and Friends. What else did we have? We had Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I remember those shows. Yeah, I remember them. I'm trying to think. Let me just come up with one more Okay, of course you had Scooby-Doo. Of course you had Garfield and Friends. Um, the Care Bears, the Smurfs. But the one thing I will tell you now, Saturday mornings you were blasted. You know, you talk about you were blasted on Saturday mornings. You were blasted on Saturday. Pee-wee's Playhouse. I remember at Pee-wee, they made a movie, you know. Yeah, Care Bears. Just, but you know, but this is the thing. I think they actually made a Jim and the Holograms. You can't beat Jim. You can't. I mean, gosh, I wanted to be Jim because I'm just thinking, you know, and the best I could do was a paper doll. You know, she had all these great clothes, and for some reason, Barbie didn't quite make it. I think they tried to do something with Barbie, and she just didn't quite make it. But you know, Jim had all these great clothes, but even in these cartoons, they teach cognitive dissonance. Can I say that? Fox Kids, Wade's World. You know, they teach cognitive dissonance in the cartoons, even at that, you know, because you had the misfits. Okay. You always had this antagonist, you know, and they always know that, or either there was some level of deception, even in Jim. You know, Jim had these magical earrings, you know, she touched these magical earrings, and all of a sudden she can be anything. She can be Jim. She can be Jerica, whatever her last name was. She could be that. And they were also dating the same guy. So you see what I'm saying? Cartoons make a difference. Cartoons teach you things, but they also teach you acceptance. They also teach you deception. You know, like you also had FaceTime on those cartoons, ladies and gentlemen. You know, who was Jerica talking to, or Jim? She talked to the screen and she'd say, "Oh, I need your help." And she appears on this screen that looks like a vanity, this vanity mirror. Even Snow White, you know, you talk about, you know, mirror, mirror on the wall. That was FaceTime. Somebody was on the other side of that mirror. This is all right, guys. I apologize. For going into Hasbro and Mattel and all of those. I didn't even go into He-Man. My gosh, we got in trouble for watching that show. Fat Albert. Yes, that was a great one. Whenever I could catch that one, I would, you know, you didn't have DVR back then. You know, you couldn't quite do it that way, but all right, I will continue. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I'll move on here. So let's go into a little bit of specifics here. Now that I've spent so much time on novelties and relics. Shout out to the rapper 10,000. So he had Michelle Obama. Let me just give a few comments on that. So, you know, she basically did this whole thesis based on class war, race baiting, gun control, HR 9, mail-in voting, voter suppression, voter fraud. You know, it's just that was the whole thing. That was the theme. Okay. So that was the premise. Okay. But she gives these examples, and, you know, she praises. See, the thing about it is you get the hypocrisy. You know, she praises people that came before, that she was standing on the shoulders of these people that came before her, and da 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 da. But then she still stands as one of the biggest victocrat millionaire first ladies known to man. And who else? And when you think about victocrats, you think about Oprah Winfrey. I mean, this woman has been talking to white people for years, hanging on to her every word. And then she hits you in 2020 with, "You're oppressing me. You can sit here in front of me. You've been sitting in front. You've been sitting in front of your TV, and I'm standing before you, but you're still oppressing me. I made millions of dollars. Got endorsed by a lot of, you know, I'm pretty much globalist made and soccer mom made, but you're still, at the end of the day, I still get a ticket, how can I win? So, I feel like I'm going down I'm not on a complete rabbit hole, but I think I'm in the ballpark. I'll get into the ballpark if I'm not careful. So I'm trying not to go to the rabbit hole, but I think all these things are linked. I do think that these things are just a lot of these themes are advantageous of one another. You look at one piece and it'll take you to another piece, and you can find one piece and it'll take you to another piece, and before you know it, you got you have circle, full circle. All right, so then I'm still on Michelle Obama. So she's gaslighting. You got to vote like your life depended on it. Then she prays. Then she starts virtue signaling, talking about these peaceful protesters. Okay, well, if they're so peaceful, why is it that that even the Ted Wheelers and these and everybody tipped their hat to Carmen Best, but I think Carmen Best also created the monster that she spoke out against when it came to her house. Until it comes to her house, they're just peaceful protesters, but Black people are still dying. My argument's still valid, right? Because Black people are still dying in Seattle. Mr. Anderson, she had none of that for Mr. Anderson. She had no empathy for him. Yeah, Michelle Obama talked about empathy. Your people have no empathy. Your representation has no empathy, except when it fits your agenda. So, now that you've got, now they've, in some, they have opined on more, that these people are more terrorists, domestic terrorists than they are, that they're actually attempting murder when they're attempting to burn down a building when somebody's inside of it. But those are peaceful protesters being subject to bullets and gas and tear gas and da 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 da. I'm just thinking, how can you sit up here and lie with your face, just with a straight face, and lie to these people and talk and these talking points? And oh my gosh, if that Charlottesville, like, man, you guys are really, you're on the fumes of Charlottesville still. Now, then it's not possible to have good people on both sides of any argument, right? It's not possible. Kind of like the left and the right. It's not, you can't have good people on both sides of an argument, whether one supports it on this side or one supports it on that side. One's pro, one's against. You can't have good people on it. So with all that said, that was hard to watch. Hard to watch. Yeah. So let me finish out here. So then she goes back with her signature hashtag: go high, go high, go high. But you know what go high actually means? In my experience, go high means lying and believe what you are told and not what you see. Even if you see the opposite of what they're saying, you believe what you're being told by the mainstream media. That's what go high means. That's my summation on going high. You got to lie. Lying and believing what you're told, no matter what you see. That's what you mean by going high. Right? Like, where'd you guys get this rhetoric from? You obviously, yeah, I have to help Trump to say, that was a poor job. You didn't go over your arguments very well. You've got your daughters, you've got 2 daughters. Maybe you should let them hear your speech before you give it the next time, pre-recorded. Shout out to everybody in the stream. All right. So then she also says she hates politics, right? I hate, I always tell you how I feel, you know. And sadly enough, some people sit there and wait and they hang on her every word, just like that guy at the grocery store. I'm just thinking it's pretty bad when you got to wait for Michelle Obama to address you on a pre-recorded message. If you think that's sensible, you got to get out of this grocery store more often, man. You got to start talking to some other people. But I don't offer that. I just want you just bag my groceries, man. Just bag my groceries. Don't put any coupons in there. Just bag my groceries. The rapper says, "What? Go high." All right, guys. I appreciate you guys for humoring me on that. You know what? I thought I might let you guys hear a little bit of that, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put you through that. I'll put you through something else. And of course, when I think about, okay, so here, let's move on a little bit. Let's go on to, now we're going to get into the globalist calls. And climate change is making its way back into the rent cycle. Not the rent cycle. They got to dump a little bit of that climate change in there. So that's HR 9. HR 9 was basically the Paris Agreement, which is America subsidizing, basically dumping money into climate change and it's going to be done on the backs of the taxpayers. Where do you guys think these bills and this stuff comes from? It comes from our money. But at a time like this, where she talks about the economy, it's in shambles and da-da-da-da-da. And yet you got these politicians out here asking people for money. If you go on to some of these sites, or whether it's Instagram, YouTube, they're all hitting you up for money. You guys are so concerned about people. $5, $10. How do you know people have $5 or $10? Why would anybody give you any money when the people have paid into a system and they can't even, we're asking for something that we've actually paid into. You have a lot of people that have suffered, and they're playing politics. You have some people that are artists, and they've always made their money performing. And they made such a mockery out of them early in that first stimulus package, that whole Kennedy Center. And then they basically release those people the day after it was signed. Those people actually could use some help. So, just saying, I'll give you a little bit of this stuff, but then I'll tell you, and then you've even got Colin Powell. I'm gonna give you a little bit of this. Shout out to everybody in the stream. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. And let's see. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you a little bit of this Colin Powell. I'll give you this. So Powell. Now this is coming from CNBC. Okay, I don't typically deal in those. I don't typically deal in the mainstream, and in this case, you can see that. So is Powell a Republican? Okay, here we go. Yeah, this two-party system is really, ladies and gentlemen, if it gets any more gray, you won't see any blue skies. Powell, a Republican who served in a variety of national security roles throughout the 1980s and 1990s, is the latest prominent figure from Washington's defense community to line up behind Biden as he seeks to take on President Donald Trump for the position of commander-in-chief in November. So, and also Sidney McCain, the wife of the late GOP John McCain. I tell you, sick. So I'm going to put that on for you. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Shout out to JT Waterman. Shout out to Crazy Chick Sheena. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't show AOC. Now that we'll go with Powell. And then we'll go, I might even jump over because I'm telling you, all these players, the players in this, it's dismal. You know, I shout out to everybody in the stream. So let's go there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys, and hang on.
Secretary of State Colin Powell. 100 years ago, a young immigrant left a dirt farm in Jamaica and set out for America. 3 years later, a ship pulled into New York Harbor, and a young Jamaican woman gazed up at the Statue of Liberty for the first time. They became my parents, and they inspired me to finish college in instilled in him in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I support Joe Biden for the presidency of the United States because those values still define him, and we need to restore those values to the White House. Our country needs a commander in chief who takes care of our troops in the same way he would his own family. Off to war. House, you will never doubt that he will stand with our friends and stand up to our adversaries, never the other way around. He will trust our diplomats and our intelligence community. He'll stand up to our adversaries. A1. He will restore Americans' leadership and our moral. Example of our power. He will restore America's leadership in the world and restore the alliances we need to address the dangers that threaten our nation, from climate change to nuclear. To have a president who unites us, who restores our strength and our soul. I still believe that in our hearts, we are the same America that brought my parents to our shores.
Sorry about that. Joe Biden. So yeah, this is developing, right? It's developing. Neocons, you know, the Bushes, the Canes. So, you know, who knows who else is going to come out? Who else? All right. Enforcement there. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about this. I've already reset this situation and it's still being problem. or trying to be. We don't know. Maybe she doesn't know, but she's trying to stay true to that. So that's my assertion. So I'll take you to that. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this segment. Yeah, they are crazy chick Sheena. Yes. But they just, I guess they don't think we have access to that information, or we just don't know that they're doing it. But we know. Okay, so here we go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Espíritu del pueblo and out of a love for all people, I hereby second the nomination of Senator Bernard Sanders of Vermont for President of the United States of America. En el espíritu del pueblo and out of a love for all people, I hereby.
Sorry. So there you had AOC endorsing Bernie Sanders. But you know what? This is the thing. Like, I think you have to pay attention here. We have to pay attention here, because I think they are saying, I think you can't really, people laugh about AOC, and, they talk about her, her posture and all of these things, but she's saying exactly, she's putting out a message, and she's actually saying more. She's actually giving you more, I think, of what they're thinking, or showing you which way, giving you some insight on what moves they're making. Now, what are the chances that Bernie Sanders could get to the Oval Office? What are the chances? Should you count Bernie Sanders out and just think, oh my God, that was a total gaffe. It was a total mishap. Oh, she's a goofball. She messed up. What do you think? Is it far-fetched? And maybe they made it a deal with him. Maybe there's a deal on the table. Who knows? Shout out to everybody in the stream. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to share this Tampa Bay story with you on the mask. And then we're going to close out like the DNC. Shout out to everybody in the stream. And that will give you the insight on the picture that I used for this stream. That might give you, the only thing they were missing was this picture, but I'll play it for you. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So let's just have a quick look here. Let's just look at, seems we're talking about kids and DNC quite a bit. We're talking about a lot, but it's all linked. That's where I'm coming from. So shout out to everybody in the stream. The censorship is real around here. I appreciate you guys for doing what you do. Coming back, Tampa Bay private schools make changes to deal with the CV. I call it the CV. All right. Back to school plans on many campuses include temperature checks, daily health screenings, mask, and other new features. Features. Okay. Features. Easy with the features. All right. So this is written by Margot Snipe. It says mask, temperature checks at campus entry points, and morning health screening questionnaires are among some of the daily protocols required for both students and staff of Tampa Bay private schools as they begin to reopen. Much like local public schools, their strategies to mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 or COVID-19 amid the pandemic also includes socially distanced instruction, frequently disinfecting of common areas, extensive student and faculty safety protocols. And many private schools have opted to push back their start dates as they prepare. Some are offering hybrid learning environments where families can select in-person or virtual learning based on their best fit for their children, while some schools are allowing families the option of switching between in-person and virtual instruction throughout the year. Others are requiring families to make final decisions early in the fall. As campuses are gearing up to welcome students back, some schools are asking families to limit travel at least 2 weeks prior to the first day of classes and prepare for potential early dismissal this fall. Tampa's Cambridge Christian School, which resumes in-person classes August 17th, so that was just 2 days ago, Monday, is requiring students and staff to use the CV screening app called Ascend, created by Basecamp Health. Each morning prior to arrival, students and staff will complete a 30-second wellness screening, which includes a daily temperature record and a set of multiple choice questions. The faculty members at the school's entrances will check each student's device for a green check indicating permission to enter campus spaces. Those with a red X remark upon completion of the digital screening will be denied entry. Quote, "We are all so excited to welcome you back to school instead of having to put up with all the annoying video boxes around us," end quote. Head of school Sean Mink said in a video on the Cambridge website. He jokingly added, quote, "Is anyone else tired of Zoom?" End quote. Similarly, Tampa Preparatory School will require all students to complete a daily health screening using an app called Magnus with a daily submission deadline of 7:45 a.m. Calvary Christian High School in Clearwater will also use the Magnus app. Sorry, those blasted consonants. Magnus app for morning screenings. So you can see the kids, looks like, I don't know, maybe they're going to create a pod or something for the kids. A pod. Shout out to everybody in the stream. My gosh, struggling today. Struggling with my consonants. Okay, I'll keep going here. All right, so you can see the distance, right, on the desk or whatnot, okay? So Calvary Christian is one of the few schools where the use of masks in classrooms where desks will be socially distanced is, quote, highly encouraged as opposed to requiring all day use, according to the school's website. Still, students at the school will be required to wear masks in hallways, which will be marked to direct the flow of foot traffic. Across Tampa Bay, many private schools will be providing students with reusable masks at the start of the year. The mask will be available for purchase in some campus stores. Most will require the use of a mask at all times throughout the school day. If students wish to use face shields, they must be used with a mask. Yikes. Not as a substitute. Whew. At Carrollwood Day School and Tampa Jesuit High School, families can purchase school branded masks, according to each school's website. Many schools will have signage marking social distancing and guiding traffic through one-way hallways and stairwells. Some schools, including Cambridge Christian, are also providing specialized CV training to staff members and avoid large crowds. A number of schools with religious affiliations are opting to stream chapel services and daily mass in individual classrooms, as opposed to gathering students and faculty in one space. In Pinellas County, Indian Rocks Christian School is offering families the option to attend beginning of the year orientations either in person or on live stream. Admiral Farragut Academy in St. Petersburg intends to use its 40-acre campus for outdoor classes and increased social distancing. Although comprehensive safety plans are in place, many schools are warning of the possibility that a government mandate may require entire student body to move to distant learning at any point in the school year. All right, so there you go. You've got your happenings, I guess, in the Florida area, the Bay. Not sure. Not that familiar with Tampa. I've been to the Tampa Buck Stadium several years ago. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Let's see. JT Waterman says brick and mortar are what schools are under DHS. Then you have a school buy computers in class and they don't want school on net for teaching. Shout out to the rapper who says a 5th grader wore this mask for 5 hours and threw up and got sick. All what this is are major violations of our rights. You know what? It is definitely that. But medically, I just think that this is it's a what do I want to call it? It's a medical what is can we say a medical cognitive dissonance? I mean, you're going through, many of these doctors have come out and said, you know, this is what we're doing. You know, this is the first time that we've quarantined the healthy. You know, they're going against everything that they were taught to keep this going. Shout out to everybody in the stream. I really appreciate you guys. I thank you for your patience. And I really appreciate it. So I hope you guys are doing well. And I appreciate you guys for doing your to be or whatever their deal is. You know, this is, you know, they are censoring conservatives and they are demonetizing conservatives or people with conservative views, or however, you know, you're being censored, you're being demonetized. So why go through the mental gymnastics, and why go through the protocol when you're being undermined? You know, it's a lot of this, you know, a lot of people that have come to this country from Marxist, you know, places, they see exactly what's going on here. So yeah, I appreciate you guys so much for coming out. Thank you for taking care with those channelytics. So with that said, thank you so much for coming in. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is share out. They might ding me for whatever they want. This is and censoring doctors who oppose the lockdowns show that they are not fit to give medical advice. Yes, rapper. Right on. So let me do. And I'm telling you, the only thing they're missing is this revolutionary guy in this. So I appreciate you guys for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So let's go there.
There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right, everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. We gotta stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Around people in the street, singing songs and carrying man come and take you away. Everybody look what's going down. Stop, hey, look around. Everybody look.
Evolutionary sign. And did you green and red? Looks a little like communism to me. That's all they needed. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun here. You know, it's like see. Maybe some buffering going on here. Hope you guys are well and that you're hanging in there. Take away Sanders. You know, that doesn't look like unity to me. I mean, they got to make up their mind, right? Is it socialism or is it communism? Just make up your mind. Just make up your mind. But you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see. It doesn't see. Sorry, guys. So this is what I was driving at here. So this is your takeaway. So they need to make up their minds. So give me a 1 if you can still hear me. I just undid the microphone. So I hope you guys are having a great day. And yeah, just next time they should add this to the iMovie production. It might give a little bit of cohesion, a little bit of with all the repetition of the signs and all the peace signs, no justice, no peace, you know, you might have a little bit more unity if you just, you know, wrap it up, tie it up, you know. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. So if there's nothing else, I appreciate you guys for all that you do. Thank you so much. So actually, I was thinking that they censored me to the point of no sound. So I guess it was not them. Okay, so maybe I sound paranoid, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And so yes, what I was saying, I will not be doing any silent streams. This channel was designed, or the mission is, it's going to be organically grown, or it'll go as long as it can until it can't go anymore. So we'll just, I don't really, it's not. It can adding. I do. Just think I need to do a little bit of extra work on it. I'm going to put that that particular link in the stream for you. And also I will be some adjustments coming to the actual. There will be some adjustments coming to the Patreon membership program. There's a new program that's going to come to that. And that program, I will tell you right away, that a program will include merchandise. So you will get some complimentary merch in that. So shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you so much for your support and for all that you do. This channel was not possible without you guys. And shout out to the loyal patrons as well as the subscribers: Chrysler Imperial H, Derek C. Williams, Killer Bell Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Little Miss Goth, AZ Infidel, Let the Truth Be Told, and Cold War Jesus. I thank you guys so much for all that you do. And I guess everybody say, people still say, I don't like the term stay safe. I don't use that term because it's, it's in that, if I say that, this is a full submission that I'm dealing with an invisible enemy. Is it invisible? Is it actually an invisible enemy? Do you guys submit to that? Not sure about that. So with that said, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to pack it in. We're going to fold it up and pack it in. Pack in our camp. From what I'm hearing, even camping is racist. So I'll continue to use that. We'll just pack up. We packed it in, and now we're going to pack it up. So thank you guys so much for all that you do. And who knows, I might do a actual stream. I may do a Moonlight stream at some point as things come out. So I appreciate you guys for all that you do. You guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. And keep an eye on that community tab. Thanks so much.